Hare Krishna. So last time we had begun discussing the verses from the 15th chapter. We finished 4 reciting. So we'll recite the first 4, recite 4th and 5th today, 5th and 6th, and then we'll go along with our discussion. So you can recite along with me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhvamulamadash-shakham Ashvatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi yasya parnani Yastam Veda Savedave Adhaschordhvam prasrutastasya shakha Guna pravruddha Vishaya pravala Adhaschamo anusantatani Karmanubandhini manushya-loke Narupamasyeha tathopalabhyate Nanto na chadir na cha sampradishta Ashvattamenam subirudhamulam Asanga-shastrena dridhena chitva Tatah padam tat parimargitav Yasmin gatana nivartanti Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye Yatah pravrittir prasrita purani. So today we'll chant the 5th one. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangyair Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangyair Gacchantya mudhaha padamavyayam tat Gacchantya mudhaha padamavyayam tat Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangyair Gacchantya mudhaha padamavyayam tat Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangyair Gacchantya mudhaha padamavyayam tat Those who are free from false prestige, illusion and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. So this verse is explaining qualification to enter into the kingdom of God. 8 adjectives are used. Nirmana, that is false prestige. Moha, illusion. We have to get free. Nir means to get out. Get these things out of our heart. Jita Sangha Dosha, false association, one has to conquer. Adhyatma Nitya, understand the eternal nature of spirit. Vinivritta Kama, done with material lust. Dvandvair Vimuktaha Sukha Dukkha Sangyair, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Dvandvair Vimuktaha Sukha Dukkha Sangye, called Sukha and Dukkha, like that. Gachanti Amudha. Amudha means unbewildered. Mudha is bewildered, Amudha. Padam Avyayaptat. Such a person is able to attain the ultimate eternal kingdom. So then, the next one is describing the nature of the spiritual world. One who surrenders, where does he go? That is explained here. This is more simpler. Natad bhasayate suryo. Natad bhasayate suryo. Na shashanko na pavakah. Na shashanko na pavakah. Yadgatva na nivartante. Yadgatva na nivartante. Tadhama paramam mama. Tadhama paramam mama. Natad bhasayate suryo. Na shashanko na pavakah. Yadgatva na nivartante. Tadhama paramam mama. Natad bhasayate suryo. Na shashanko na pavakah. Yadgatva na nivartante. Tadhama paramam mama. That the supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Natad bhasayate suryo, sun doesn't rise, na shashanko, nor the moon, na pavakaha, nor the fire. Yadgatva, having reached, na nivartante, there is no need to come back. Tadhama, that abode, paramam, that supreme, mama, it is mine. So the Lord here is describing His abode, which we already are in the process of discussing. Last week we began. So now we will continue our discussion on the 15th chapter. As we have already mentioned, but just to revise, the 15th chapter, called Purushottama Yoga, talks about the spiritual world, how to reach there, what disqualifies a person from attaining it, and also, in essence, in 3 verses, it presents the complete Gita. In the 14th chapter, the 3 modes of nature were discussed. And how to get out of it, that's being described in this particular. How to detach is described in the beginning verses, and how to reach the abode of the Lord is described in the later verses. Can be divided into 4 sections. We discussed the acronym last time, home. The first 4 verses talk about home or hotel, the nature of this material world, the perverted reflection of the example of the banyan tree, how it is illusory, how it is temporary, but people who are stuck there find it very difficult to get out. And only one who is able to successfully cut it with the sword of knowledge, asanga shastrena dridhena chitva, such a person can qualify tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah. Then he can begin his journey. Unless the anchor is removed, the boat will not move forward. Even if the motor is full on, the anchor has to be removed. So the anchor is that attachment to the illusory tree of this world. So, yasmin gatan tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. And there, having reached there, what one should do? Purusham prapadye. Prapadya. Prapadya means to surrender to the Lord. Why surrender to the Lord? Mam evaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Unless you take shelter of the Lord, we will not be able to let go of this material world. Just like a worm that shifts from one leaf to another has to catch the other leaf, then release its body from the previous leaf. Or while walking, you have to keep the front foot solidly before relieving your, feet, back foot. Similarly, attachment to the spiritual world makes detachment from the material world much easier. And after describing in the 5th verse the qualification, now just to attract, and could somebody switch this off? No, not the speaker there. I was wondering who's singing behind. It's wonderful, but not during the class. So, where one has to go to attract us, that spiritual realm is being described. So last time we discussed that, right? I told how Bhagavad Gita gives some indication in few verses about the existence and briefly the nature of the spiritual world. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the description of the spiritual world is given elaborately, especially in the 3rd canto, 15th chapter. In fact, the title of the chapter is Description of the Kingdom of God. We were continuing that discussion. And Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about when the Lord descends along with his abode, how he interacts with his associates. They are very, very spiritual interactions, very, very loving interactions. So, that's why we have to read first Gita, then Bhagavatam, then CC. It's like a postgraduate study. So, this is being described so that the more we hear, we may be inspired to actually reach that place. And I pointed out last time one particular sentence in Srila Prabhupada's purport, and that is, one should be captivated by this information. One should be captivated by the information of the spiritual world. He should desire to transfer himself to the eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut the attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is chance of gradually becoming detached. So both detachment and attachment is simultaneously mentioned. So last time we discussed about the spiritual world, how in that third canto, 15th chapter, description of the kingdom of God, the four Kumaras have entered, they have crossed 6 gates of Vaikuntha, and while they are crossing, they are seeing the spiritual world. Anyone remember some description of what we discussed last time? Everybody in Vaikuntha was four-handed. Yeah, only Narayana, one can discriminate only by the fact that he has the goddess of Lakshmi residing, goddess of fortune residing on his heart, on his chest, in the form of Srivatsa Chinnam. Anything else? Yeah? Pardon? All the, actually, Lakshmi Sahasrasha Sambrama Sevyaman, Sahasrashata. All the wives are the goddesses of fortune, is so opulent, practically on the same level in that sense. They cannot be Lakshmis, obviously Lakshmi is only one, but all these are also goddesses of fortune. There is a lot of opulence. Some examples of some opulence. Everyone has their own individual plane, private. What is the characteristics? Anything else? They eternally singing the glories of the Lord. And what disturbs them? If, because of so much of sense gratification, which is million times more than what is available in the heavenly planets, because of that, beautiful fragrant flowers, fantastic atmosphere, extremely beautiful ladies, so much closely together, in that plane, practically, like they're so close together, intimate association. And even for a second, if their thought goes away from the Lord, they curse themselves. Say, for 1 second, we forgot the Lord. Which means they give priority to the glory of the Lord than their own sense gratification. Or in other words, they have such a higher taste that in comparison to that, the topmost taste of the material world is seemed as most insignificant. Param drishtva nivartate, because they have a higher taste. Then, going further, please listen about the nature of the birds there. Whether it is birds, whether it is human beings, whether it is flowers, they are all absolute. Everyone is Satchidananda. Everything there is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Everything is conscious. Nothing is dead matter. Nothing is dead matter. Everything, every speck of dust is a living entity. Eternal, full of knowledge and blissful. When the king of bees hums in a high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, There is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. Which means there is no envy. Material world, पहले मैं, बाद में आप. But spiritual world, पहले आप, बाद में मैं. Everyone is the mode of servant of the servant. No one has the false ego. No one wants to be the top. They are so humble, they are so simple. In this world, even a donkey, Prabhupada says, is so proud of his braying. He feels, I am better than everyone else. But in the spiritual world, even the cuckoo becomes so quiet when the cuckoo sees that the bees are humming the glories of the Lord. So they all feel themselves. They want to put others in the forefront and put themselves at the back. That's their humility. Absolutely no envy, which is born because of a false ego. Nirmana moha. They are not under illusion. Because really what is pleasing is not the tune, but it is the devotion. Krishna is attracted by the devotion, not just by the tune. And because everyone is a pure devotee, everyone's song is very sweet, but the devotee thinks themselves, they think of themselves as very, out of their humility, that others are better than me. And therefore they put them forward. Although flowering plants, and now listen about the plants, the flowers. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunda, kurubaka, utpala, champaka, arna, punnaga, nagakesara, bakula, parijata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi. For Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulsi leaves. This is another very significant thing. Even the flowers are conscious of the glories of Tulsi Maharani, and therefore preference is given to Tulsi. And also there are so many varieties of flowers. It's all there. All the variety that we see is a perverted reflection. If it's here, the real object must be there. So therefore, that is also given. And the importance of Tulsi Maharani. Tulasi, Krishna Preyasi. So, that's the benefit we have. By the mercy of the Lord, Tulsi Maharani is even manifest on this planet so that we can get an opportunity to serve her and through her the Lord. Chappana bhoga chatrisa vyanjana bina tulasi Prabhu eka nahi mani. Unless we put Tulasi, the Lord doesn't accept any of our offerings. The ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no need to sweep, because there is no dust in Vaikuntha. But even the goddess of fortune is sweeping the floor. Why? She just wants to attract the mercy of the Lord. Everything is dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Everyone is begging for the mercy of the Lord. And therefore, it's a very special place. In this world, Even the top demigods, everyone is behind the goddess of fortune. Rajya Lakshmi, Samrajya Lakshmi, Gaja Lakshmi, Dhana Lakshmi, Dhanya Lakshmi, so many, Ashta Lakshmi. Everyone is after Lakshmi. But Lakshmi ji is after Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha. In this world, Lakshmi is Chanchala. She is very flickering. She stays with someone for some time. Billionaire immediately can become a pauper. But that Lakshmi in the spiritual world is not Chanchala. She is very fixed up. She doesn't leave her abode, the lotus chest of the Lord. Ravana tried to get Sita. When you try to take Lakshmi without Narayan, that Lakshmi becomes Chanchala. She became the cause of destruction. But when Narayan is worshipped, Lakshmi automatically follows. Because she is chaste lady. So wherever her husband Narayan is worshipped, she automatically comes there. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvani Tirmadir. All opulence, all wealth is there, where the Lord is being worshipped by the devotees in pure love. Automatically all wealth will come. All opulences will come. Victory will come. Morality will come. So, and then I will conclude with this particular verse. Please listen to this. Brahmaji is telling the demigods. He concludes this section by telling, it is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into darkest region of ignorance. It is so regrettable that people, I will read the most important, the purport. Two aspects are brought out here, where we actually can appreciate. This is 50th anniversary of establishment of ISKCON society. It was established in 1966. 2016 is 50th year. ISKCON is already on this planet for 50 years now. And Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya. His contribution you can appreciate in this particular purport. The most unfortunate persons are the impersonalists, who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. They are afraid to talk about the beauty of Vaikuntha planets because they think that variegatedness must be material, Maya. Such impersonalists think that the spiritual world is completely void, Shunya, or in other words, that there is no variegatedness, Nirvishesha. This mentality is described here as Kukatha Matigni, intelligence bewildered by unworthy words. The philosophies of voidness and of impersonal situation of the spiritual world are condemned here because they bewilder one's intelligence. How can the impersonalist and the void philosopher think of this material world which is full of variegatedness and then say that there is no variegatedness in the spiritual world? It is said that this material world is perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So unless there is variegatedness in the spiritual world, how can there be temporary variegatedness in the material world? That one can transcend this material world does not imply that there is no transcendental variegatedness. Nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya desha tarine nama om Vishnu padaya Krishna prishthaya bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Especially India also highly surcharged with spirituality also, is charged with impersonalism, Mayavad. I am God, you are God, everything is God. Or Bauddha philosophy, Shunya, nihilistic philosophy, or impersonalism. That everything is Maya. God's name is Maya, God's form is Maya, material like us. Actually, in the spiritual world, there is no variegatedness. Everything is one. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So the impersonal Brahman, Nirguna, Nirakar, Nirvishesh, Sarvavyapi Brahma is all in all. This was smashed by Prabhupada. And he made into Vaishnavas who accept Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual world as eternal, as referred to in the Bhagavad Gita also. Avyakta akshara ityukta stamahohu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante taddhama paramam mama. Here in the Bhagavatam, in this verse particularly, it is stressed that people who try to discuss and understand the real spiritual nature of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha are fortunate. They are so fortunate. The variegatedness of the Vaikuntha planets is described in relation to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But instead of trying to understand the spiritual abode and the spiritual activities of the Lord, people are more interested in politics and economic developments. They hold many conventions, meetings and discussions to solve the problems of this worldly situation where they can remain only for a few years. But they are not interested in understanding the spiritual situation of Vaikuntha world. If they are at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. But unless they understand the spiritual world, they rot in this material darkness continuously. How unfortunate. So, Srila Prabhupada said, my temples are in Vaikuntha. What did he mean? His Holiness Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj had come few years back to Mira Road, Radha Giridhari Mandir. There he gave a class. And he said, explain this statement. Srila Prabhupada said, my temples are in Vaikuntha. Which means his temples are embassies of the spiritual world. What is an embassy? One country has an embassy in the other country. And embassies of one country in another country, if you visit Russian embassy, American embassy, even today if you go anywhere, if you enter the embassy, everything is of that place. Suppose I enter American embassy. It has American people sitting there. It has American furniture, American pictures, American stationery, foodstuff, everything. And the ambassador has to give you the visa. Then only you can go to America. Similarly, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj explained, Srila Prabhupada is the ambassador from the spiritual world. He has come from there on the order of the Lord to establish embassies in this material world. And those who want to go to that spiritual world have to first go there. And when you enter the temple, he established in such a way that he trained people how to create Vaikuntha. It doesn't become by itself, simply by putting a flag on top or some kalash on top. You have to create that atmosphere. And he gave the blueprint how to create the Vaikuntha atmosphere within the temple. He said, he introduced the language of Vaikuntha. You know what is the Vaikuntha language? Anyone knows which is the language spoken in Vaikuntha? Sanskrit? Yeah? The language of Vaikuntha is that language which glorifies the Lord, and that language which considers oneself as the servant and everyone else as master. This is Vaikuntha language. Prabhuji. Everyone is Prabhu. I am Das. Katha Ganam, Natyam Gamanam, Api Vamshi Priyasakhi. Katha Ganam. Every word is a song because it is glorifying the Lord. It is glorifying the devotees. It is glorifying devotional service. Therefore, every word is a song. Every gait is a dance. Why? Because anyone who is walking to do some devotional service. So in that temple, everyone, at least within the temple, one should be trained to treat everyone as master and oneself as a servant. Call, at least begin to call Prabhuji and I am Das. Take pleasure or always strive to glorify the Lord, glorify the devotees, glorify devotional service. This is the language of Vaikuntha. It doesn't matter whether you speak Russian, Marathi, Gujarati, Bengali. This is Vaikuntha language. Glorification of the Lord. And everyone has a dress code which is Vaikuntha dress. What is the dress code? Nice. The Lord is not wearing jeans. He has beautiful pitambara, dhoti. And all the goddesses of fortune don't have t-shirt and jeans. They have beautiful sari. So he introduced that dress code. That doesn't mean that all others are inappropriate. The idea is we had a discussion in our temple, in a yatra, where we had a churning session. What is the purpose of wearing the dress? The idea is, you should look decent, you should look nice, but not exclusively to attract attention to the self by exposing the body, exposing the hair. These are the way people attract to themselves and increase their false ego. That's the whole idea. It's not a question of what to wear, what not to wear. But the idea is where the focus is more on the Lord. So at least, just like there's a dress code everywhere, isn't it? Everywhere there is a dress code. Office there is a dress code. You don't wear a swimsuit to the office. When you go for swimming, there is a dress code. When you go to school, there is a dress code. Even a painter, he has a dress code. He comes and wears particular dress, then he starts. A mechanic has a dress code. The whole idea, a gardener has a dress code. Everything has a dress because whatever activity you are doing, the dress should be conducive. A farmer cannot wear suit, boot and all that. How can he do farming then? He can't bend down properly. He has to be proper dress code. Whatever activity we are going to be doing, the dress has to facilitate that. That's the essence actually. And what is the activity here? Focus on the Lord, less focus on the self. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. That is the consciousness. So he introduced a particular kind of dress code, tilak. This is the ornament. When you are ornamented, you become attractive. The whole idea of coming to the temple is to be attracted by the Lord. And therefore, we ornament in a way that is pleasing to the Lord. One ornament is tilak in 12 places, kanthi mala. Much more important than the external dress is being ornamented by good qualities. Vaishnav Achar is ornament of a devotee. One who is decorated with good qualities becomes beautiful in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord is not attracted by the texture of your dress, cost of your dress. Sudama had torn clothes. Shabri didn't have the best of clothes. But they had devotion, wonderful qualities. And therefore the Lord was attracted. So real dress code is decorated with the ornament of Vaishnava qualities. That is Vaikuntha. Everyone is so humble, so much of respect for everyone, wanting to serve, eager to glorify the Lord, keeping themselves as the last. In this way, then you get the visa. Acceptance by the ambassador. Ambassador is Guru in Parampara. He accepts, yes, this person is fit. This person can actually go. And the process of devotion that they offer is the process. Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya aham evam vidhorjuna gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. What is that visa? Pure devotional service. That can take you back home. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yashasmi tattvataha. Tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti. If you know Krishna tattvataha. And only by bhakti can I be understood, Krishna says. How fortunate we are that an ambassador from the spiritual world so mercifully, nirvishesha, shunyavadi, the foolish philosophy of voidism, impersonalism, materialism, has been kicked out. Powerful words of fools and rascals. Sometimes people ask, why Prabhupada is using such harsh language? Because to the extent a person is diseased, the dose of medicine should be strong. If a person is totally intoxicated, you have to throw ice water on his face. So sometimes strong words were used by Prabhupada just to shake people from their, stupor condition, from their stunned condition, absorbed in material life. Higher than Vaikuntha is Vrindavan. Higher than Vaikuntha is even Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, nobody has 4 hands. In Vrindavan, everyone has 2 hands. Shriyah Kanta. All the gopis are goddesses of fortune. Kantaha Paramapurushaha. And the only enjoyer, Bhoktaram Yagyatabasam, only Krishna is the enjoyer of Vrindavan. No one else is the enjoyer, only Krishna. Everyone is serving Krishna. Kalpataravo druma. Every tree is Kalpavriksha tree. But amazingly, no devotee asks for anything while standing under the tree. Whatever fruit is there, he is satisfied with that fruit. He doesn't ask for some other fruit in some other time. In the season, whatever fruit comes, he accepts. Druma bhumihi. Chintamani ganamai. Bhumi is Chintamani ganamai. But whatever grows, that's what they accept. They don't ask anything. It can give anything. Toyam amritam. There is a river flowing. It is amrita. But they just drink water, that's all. They don't ask for anything. They can get milk also from there, no? They just, whatever is there. Katha, Ganam. Every word is a song. Because everyone is simply glorifying Krishna. Natyam, Gamanam. Every word is a dance. Because every step is taken to please Krishna. Vamshi, Priya Sakhi. And Krishna's eternal attendant is the flute. Krishna doesn't carry flute in Dwarka. He puts it in the cupboard and locks it. Safe deposit locker. He doesn't carry it in Mathura. He carries only in Vrindavan. Vamshi Priya Sakhi. Chidanandam Jyotihi Paramapi Tad Aswadyamapi cha. Sayatra Kshirabdhi Shravati Surabhibhyascha Sumahan. And the cows can give anything, but they take only milk. Because that milk itself is satisfied. The gopis are satisfied, the gopas are satisfied. Nimesharthakyo va vrajati nahi atrapi samaya. Even a moment doesn't pass there. Bhaje shveta dvipam tadamamiha golokamitiyam vidantaste santa kshiti viralachara manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yadati siddhaye yatadamapi siddhanam kaschid mambe. Very rarely people are able to reach this Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the ultimate Vaikuntha. Lord Brahma came to Vrindavan, but because he was very egoistic, he wanted to test Krishna. He wanted to test Krishna. And he didn't get to see Vrindavan. But only when his false pride was crushed, he could see Vrindavan. And he describes Vrindavan. Beautifully he says, what is Vrindavan? Yatra naisarga durvairaha sahasan mrigadaya mitrani vajita vasa drutaruttarshakadikam. He says, Yatra naisarga durvairaha. Durvairaha means born enemies. Born enemies. Some people are born enemies. Some people become enemies. Born enemies are like cat and the rat. The tiger and the deer. The snake and the mongoose. The Garuda and the snake. Jivo, jivasya jivan. One is food for the other. But yatra naisarga durvairaha saha asan. But in Vrindavan, the tigers, the deers, everyone is just coming together. That's why when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jharkhand forest was walking and he saw tigers embracing the deers, elephants embracing, each other and kissing each other and embracing each other with tears in their eyes and dancing together, glorifying the Lord, he remembered the same verse. Yatra naisarga durvairaha, naisargik dushmani jisme hai, saha asan, nr mrigadaya. Even animals, human beings, everyone is so friendly with each other. Mitrani iva. as if they are the closest friends. Ajita Avasa, that is the place where the Lord resides. Druta means completely gone away. Root means anger. Tarsha, lust, anger, thirst, hunger, everything is not at all there. Kamayesha, Krodhayesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. Rajoguna and Tamoguna are not there at all. Everyone is Shuddha Sattva. Srila Prabhupada introduced a formula, a program, by which tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye, by hearing Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, he introduced Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad Gita class in his temples. Because if you keep on hearing, Rajo and Tamoguna will go away. And everyone will come together. First thing in the morning, everyone comes together to glorify the Lord. The last thing before they go to bed, they glorify the Lord. Before they eat food, they glorify the Lord. Glorification of the Lord is topmost priority. Everyone is the mode of servant of the servant. Everyone is decorated with a beautiful dress of wonderful Vaishnava qualities. And when somebody enters that atmosphere, and in that atmosphere hears about spiritual world, वहाँ ऐसे होता है, it will not be a surprise. I said, yeah, I think it exists because I can see a sample here. In the embassy, you can see a glimpse of that particular country. The people speak the same language. The dress code is the same as that. The food is the same. What is the food of Vaikuntha? Everyone eats only prasad. Yagyashishta shenas santo. So the food means everything is prasad. And wherever you see the pictures, the windows to the spiritual world, Prabhupada called. The glorifying the Lord or his devotion, his devotees, and the loving reciprocation amongst them. So everything reminds us of Krishna. Treats Vrindavan. So in this way, we can understand Srila Prabhupada very beautifully introduced how fortunate we are. He is an ambassador from the spiritual world. And an ambassador from that country has to come to sign your visa. Unless he stamps it, you can't go to that country. Similarly, Lord Nityananda Prabhu declared that a Senapati Bhakta will come very soon. My commander-in-chief devotee will come. And he will establish Prithvi te aache jato nagaradigram sarvatra prachar hoi bimor naam. He will establish embassies of the spiritual world everywhere, in every town and village. And that's what Srila Prabhupada has proved true. So, how fortunate we are. After that, in the next verse, is beginning the second one from 6 onwards. 6 to 11 is on and on, over and over again. So, why in the spiritual world that kind of an environment is there? Mamayvamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manashashtanindriyani prakriti sthani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. The nature of the soul is explained here. This is also a very important verse. Mamayvamsho, mama eva amsha. They are my own part and parcel. Mama eva amsha, jivaloke, in this material world, all the living entities. Jiva bhutaha sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. It's not that only here they are my part and parcel. Once they come, they become one with me. No. This also shatters Mayavad philosophy. Totally dismantles it. Sanatana, they are eternally my part and parcels. That means they are one in quality with me. In quality they are also Satchidananda. But in quantity they are minute. Mamaiva amsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. This word sanatana dismantles Mayavad philosophy. Some they feel that घटाकाश पटाकाश, घट में भी आकाश है और घट के बाहर भी आकाश है. घड़ा तोड़ दो तो अंदर का बाहर दोनों आकाश एक हो गया. Similarly they feel you are God actually. Now you are in the body. Once the body dies, you become self-realized, you and God are one. Because everything becomes one. No. Mama eva amshaha sanatana. Eternally, even in the spiritual world, a living entity, even in a liberated stage, is always part and parcel of Krishna. He can never become Krishna. A jiva can become godly, but not God. And then why he has come here? Manah shashthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Even though qualitatively he is like me, but because he ichha dvesha samuthena, he wanted to become the controller proprietor. Therefore he came down. And because of his desire, he's got 6 senses. 5 senses and the mind. Manaha shashthani indriyani. 5 senses and the mind. They are the 6 senses. Prakriti sthani. He comes to this material world with the mind and the 5 senses. And karshati. Struggle for existence. पापी पेट का सवाल है महाराज. रोटी कपड़ा मकान के लिए क्या क्या करना पड़ता है. Struggle, struggle, struggle. His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj, he said, भगवान ने एक पेट दे दिया, कितना बुरा किया. इस पेट को छोटा सा ऐसा एक ये है. But just to feel this, क्या क्या करता है आदमी, क्या कुछ नहीं करता है. Just to fill this stomach. What kind of sinful activities a person is ready to do? How much is this stomach? But every 6 hours it becomes empty and demands. पापी पेट का, इसलिए पापी पेट बोल. एक बार खिला दिया ना, हफ्ते भर के लिए तो चुप हो जा. 2-3 घंटे में फिर से मांगता है. Could you have the fan on? So it just demands. ये पेट दे के बहुत बड़ा, इसको भरने के लिए क्या कुछ करना पड़ता है. एंड एक शरीर है, उस शरीर को संरक्षण करने के लिए क्या कुछ करना पड़ता है. एंड लाइफ आफ्टर लाइफ इट यू कीप गेटिंग अनदर बेली. सो मनश्चष्टानि इंद्रियाणि प्रकृति स्थाने कर्षति. स्ट्रगल फॉर एग्जिस्टेंस. स्ट्रगल स्ट्रगल स्ट्रगल. शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात्. If you don't surrender to the Lord, if you don't go to the spiritual world, if you don't understand your natural constitutional position as the eternal servant of the Lord and engage in His service, what will happen to you? 8, 9 describe. Text 8 and 9 describe. Then you jump from one branch to another branch of this illusory banyan tree. If you don't cut off this tree, this human form of life, and don't go to the spiritual world by surrendering to the Lord, what happens? You jump from one branch to another, one branch to another, one planet to another, one species to another, one body to another, on and on, over and over again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani. You don't know which janani? Punarapi janani jathare shayanam. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Shariram yad avapnoti. Shariram, in all the 84 lakh species, soul gets a particular type of sharira. Sharira means one which gives misery. Shariram yad avapnoti. What happened? Something went wrong. Shariram yad avapnoti. No, here itself it went blank. Yachapi utkramati ishvaraha. Here the living and utkramati means gives up. It takes one body, gives up one body. Takes one body, gives up one body. Why? Here the living entity is also addressed as Ishvara. He is the Lord of the body. He is the controller of the body. Why? Because he has a choice. Which kind of body you can get? You can go down into the lower species, you can go into the higher species, or you can get out of this material world and go to the spiritual world and get a spiritual body. If you don't get a spiritual body, you don't prepare for a spiritual body, you get another material body. But body you have to get. Body you have to get. Shariram yad avapnoti yacha api utkramati. So he takes one body, throws that body. Takes one body, after some time throws that body. Shariram yad avapnoti yacha api grihitvaitani samyati. Grihitva. He accepts one body and samyati. He gives up one body. If you are a human body, you are fortunate to hold it for 100 years. But in some, 100 months. Their lifespan is only 100 months. Some species, 100 minutes. 100 hours. Some species, 100 minutes. Some species, 100 seconds. Now sometimes, rainy season, in the night you see so many insects are born and they keep on going around the light. Early morning you see like battlefield of Kurukshetra. All 100. You just take one broomstick, finished. Their lifespan is only 7 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Within that they are born, they grow up, they get married, produce offsprings, dwindle and die. Now we may laugh. Demigods are laughing at us. They live for 10,000 years. And when they are discussing, they are having Bhagavad Gita class and they are telling, ये देखो नीचे एक आदमी में भक्तिवेदांत में बैठ के गुणगान कर रहा है अपने आप का. अरे वो हम लोग सांस लेने तक मर जाएगा वो. मूर्ख कहीं का. अपने आप हंस, वो लोग हंस के बोलते देखो कीड़े मकोड़े. वो हमारे लिए कीड़े मकोड़े. And Brahma ji is sitting on top and smiling at the demigods. Sahasra yuga paryantam. 1000 yuga cycles is his 12 hours. 43 lakh 20,000 into 1000 years is his 12 hours. In one day of Brahma, 14 times the demigods are born and died and finished. 14 times. In one day, that means 12 hours. In 12 hours of Brahma, 14 times the demigods die. They are thrown out of power. And Brahmaji may be thinking like this. Mahavishnu is looking at, he just breathes in and all Brahmas go inside. He breathes out, millions of Brahmas come out. This world is very relative. Yet nishvasita kala mathavalambya jivanti loma vilaja Jagadandanatha, Vishnur Mahan, Sa Ihayasya Kala Vishesho. And that Mahavishnu is the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of Krishna. Who is Krishna? Who are we? But what a puffed up ego. कौन है वो कृष्णा? मैं भी तो कृष्णा हूं. What a puffed up ego. How Vayur Gandha Nivashayat. What a brilliant example. When a Vayu, when an air flows over some filthy things, dirty smell. When the same air flows over a beautiful flower garden, wow, what a beautiful fragrance. The air is neither dirty nor fragrant. The air is odorless, sightless, tasteless also. But depending on what kind of thing it passes, it takes that kind. Similarly, the soul is pure, Satchidananda, depending upon the kind of desires and karma. He gets a particular type of body. Sometimes filthy body, sometimes a very wonderful body, sometimes demigod body, sometimes a cockroach body. But he gives it up. Again the air keeps on moving. Vayur gandham yavashayat. Shrotram chakshuhu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranameva cha adhishthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Shrotram, hearing. Chakshuhu, eyes. Sparshanam cha, sense of touch. Rasanam, taste. Ghranam, smell. And adhishthaya, manaschayam, centered around the mind. You know, you have this clay. Sometimes children play with this clay. Special. Sometimes you make a human being, and then you pull the ear, make it round, and pull the leg like this. It becomes a rabbit. Then you pull it like this. It becomes a snake. Similarly, material nature. बोलते हैं इसका बहुत हो गया अभी, इसको खींचो, इसको गधा बन जाएंगे, इसका कान खींचो, दो पैर को नीचे, हाथ नीचे करके पैर बना दो, नीचे एक पूंछ डाल दो, एक्स्ट्रा वाला यहां से निकाल के उधर डाल दो, हो गया, गधा बन गया. सो लाइक अ क्ले, प्रकृति प्लेस. कर्मणा दैवनेत्रेण जंतुर्देह उपपत्तये. So the same earth, water, fire, air, ether is taken, and around the mind put particular body. And what kind of a body is decided? According to your desire, according to your deserve. What you deserve and what you desire. It is very important in human life. We have a choice. What kind of a desire we want to cultivate. Depending on our desire, we make ourselves deserving. Simply desiring is not enough. If your desire is strong, you have to make yourself deserving to fulfill that desire. So if your desire is to go back to the spiritual world, you have to do spiritual activities. You have to develop spiritual consciousness. If a person is going on eating meat, material nature says, ए बेचारा इसको खाता है तो उसको हजम ही नहीं होता है, इसको एक ऐसा एक पेट देंगे, ऐसा दांत दे देंगे ताकि he can eat without even cooking and he can keep on eating breakfast, lunch and dinner, only that. So depending on our activities, we cultivate a particular desire. Depending on that desire, we work on it and make ourselves deserving, and according to our desire and according to what our activities, karmana daivanetrena, you are given a suitable type of body. Adhishthayam manaschayam vishayan upasevate. To enjoy a particular type of senses in the best way, you will get that. One time Prabhupada saw on the sea beach, he was walking in some foreign country, I don't know where. He was just walking on the beach and he saw these people going in the sea with, what is that? They have a, ski board or something like that, No, surfing. They were doing the surfing on that board and then jumping, swimming. And Prabhupada said, they are preparing for their next life. They'll become fish. 24 hours they can do that. In this body, if you fall, you can break your head, nothing. Then you become a fish, then you can 24 hours swim around without getting tired. So, everything, our desire, our actions, we are preparing for the next body. So it depends on us. Vishayan upasevate. Whatever we develop, nature is so reasonable. You wanted this, I will give you a suitable body so that you can enjoy what you desire in a better way. This is not suitable for human life, is not meant for those things, Baba. If you want to keep around roaming naked, we will give you a tree body, stand naked, and even if it rains, you won't get cold. Nalakuvara and Manigriva. That's what they were doing. Narada said, Khade ho jao na. 100 saal tak khade, kuch problem nahi. So depending on every species of life has a purpose. If you don't understand, human life is meant for self-realization. If you don't, and develop something else, all right, you'll get a suitable body, you'll get a suitable mind, and you'll get suitable senses to enjoy those particular desires. As simple as that. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananupashyanti Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit the body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Utkramantam. Utkramantam means giving up. Sthitam, what kind of a body is right now you have, what kind of a body you gave up, and what kind of body you are enjoying or you are going to receive, depending on the different modes of nature. Vimudhaha na anupashyanti. They don't see. In fact, they don't believe in the nature of the soul. They don't believe in the existence of the soul. They say, kya hai sab? Eat, drink and be merry. That's my philosophy. What is all this nonsense? Taking birth, giving up. Kisne dekha? Who's seen? Vimudhaha na anupashyanti. Pashyanti means to see. Anupashyanti means seeing according to the scriptures. Seeing according to the vision of the great acharyas. Unless we see through the eye of scriptures, unless we see through the eye of the acharyas, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, you can't make it out. You can't see this. And therefore, whole life is dedicated to increasing the desires to enjoy sense gratification and struggling to keep on fulfilling those desires without understanding the ultimate and the real goal of life. Vimudhana anupashyanti. But pashyanti jnana chakshusha. With jnana chakshu, with shastra chakshu, vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shupake cha pandita samadarshina. They can understand. Oh, it is the same soul Depending on particular type of activity, he has got a particular type of body. Just like you get a disease and the doctor says, he touches the pulse and he says, I think तुम वहाँ गए थे क्या, वो मच्छर काट लिया लगता है, तो वो मलेरिया हो गया अभी तुमको. If you got malaria, that means so and so, such and such a thing has happened. Maybe you drank bad water, that's why you got this disease. Very simple. Just by seeing the pulse or seeing the test, he can say, I think you did this, therefore you got this disease. Similarly, Jnana Chakshushaha, one who is very knowledgeable, he sees a person and knows, oh, this is his past life, this is what he has got as an end product. By seeing the result, you can guess the cause. Not even guess, you know the cause. Vimudha nanu pashyanti, but pashyanti jnana. In fact, he can see, oh, I have got a body, I have got this is my desire, this lust, anger, greed, envy. He can actually see it is working, and I need to work on this, I need to deal with this. But if you're not conscious, you won't realize. Yatanto yoginaschainam Pasyantyatmanyavasthitam Yatantopyakritatmano Nainam Pashyantya Chetasaha. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. Yatantaha yoginascha enam. The yatanta, those who are endeavoring, yogis, they can see, they understand the value of time. Hey, time is going away. Just like exam paper is there, you're watching the time, you have less time and you have to pull up all this, then only you will pass. Life is a preparation, death is the examination. We don't know when the examination is going to come. One cannot waste time. The bell is rung, 3 hours, paper are already given. Can't waste time. So, yatantaha yoginascha enam. Enam means this, taking of the body, enjoying or taking a particular body, giving up one body. The yogi can actually see this. He understands the value, the importance, the gravity. Yatanto yoginascha enam pashyanti atmani avasthitam. Because they are situated in self-realization, they are conscious of this. They are very conscious of every moment of this life. Yatanto api akritatmano. But those who are not yogis, those who are not self-realized, who have not read the scriptures, who have not heard from the great devotees, na enam pashyanti, they are not able to see. Achetasaha, because this consciousness is very dull. They are like animals, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. That's all. They are not able to see. So, if you don't detach yourself and surrender to Krishna, if you surrender, then you go to the spiritual world. If you don't, keep on jumping from one branch to another of this illusory tree. You'll never be able to achieve perfection. And therefore a yogi, being very conscious, actually understands. In the next few verses that we'll discuss next time, Krishna is telling, okay, you may not be able to see me directly, but try to understand how I am the maintainer. I am maintaining the earth to stay in the orbit. I am maintaining all the foodstuffs. I am helping you to eat it. I am helping you to digest it. I am seated in your heart. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. Try to understand me. Try to see me as the maintainer. How much you're dependent upon me. And knowing this, take shelter of me. Surrender to me. Perfect your life. In this way, he's going to explain in the next few verses, which will be 12, 13, 14 and 15, which we'll discuss next time. And these 4 verses talk about maintainer, Krishna as the supreme maintainer. Any questions, any comments, any clarification? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you told in Vaikuntha Loka we look like a Vishnu, but in Goloka, Vrindavana, we look like different or like Krishna. We are not Krishna, but our feature, what should be like that?
Two-handed form. If you are a Gopa. If you are a tiger, you are tiger.
Okay.
If you are a cow, you will be a cow.
But in a human form, in a way different. Not look same like Vaikuntha, all are looking.
No. In Vaikuntha, everyone is four-handed, looks exactly like Vishnu. In Vrindavan, Gopas, Gopis, they are not like Krishna.
They all are different.
But they have, in fact, Vrindavan is millions of times more opulent than even Vaikuntha. This discussion is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jagannath Yatra happens during the time of Lord Chaitanya, and on the 5th day after Jagannath Yatra, when Jagannath is in Gundicha Mandir, Lakshmi ji comes from Jagannath temple. It's called Hera Panchami. Lakshmi ji comes with her servants to demand, hey, beats up the servants of Lord Jagannath until send our Jagannath quickly, otherwise we'll beat you up. She breaks the cart also. Some part of the cart is broken. And then she goes. And then the Jagannath's servants request. We'll send him tomorrow. Please go. You. And then Lakshmi ji goes back to Jagannath temple. During that festival, Srivas Thakur, who is non-different from Narada Muni, started glorifying Vaikuntha. क्या वैकुंठ है? अरे वैकुंठ में हमारी लक्ष्मी जी सिंहासन पर बैठती है, तुम्हारी गोपियां अरे दूध करती है, झाड़ू मारते रहती। यहाँ क्या ऐश्वर्य है, और वहाँ दूध दोनों गाय के पीछे। And everyone starts closing their mouth and smiling because they know Srivas is trying to create typical Narada, creating a kind of a situation for everyone to get agitated. So Mahaprabhu looks at Srivas, Narada Muni's nature is coming into you now. He said, but beware. Swarup Damodar is a pakka Brajvasi. He will not tolerate. Swarup, what do you have to say? And Swarup Damodar Goswami starts glorifying. He says, Narada says, Srivas Thakur says, what is the wealth of Vaikuntha? What is the wealth of Vrindavan? Some feathers, and some peacock feathers, and some leaves, and some berries, gunja berries. And what is the opulence of Vaikuntha? And then Swarup Damodar starts glorifying. He said, hey, try to understand. It is millions of times more. Each of the berry, leaves, each of peacock feather is millions of times more opulent than Vaikuntha. Every dust. Once dust of Vraj. All the opulence of Vaikuntha you keep on one side and keep one Braj. This will become heavy. That is the glory of Vrindavan. Why? The greatest glory of Vrindavan is Madhurya. There is Aishwarya. But intimacy is not there. Everyone is going like this. Lord comes. Yes, sir. Even Lakshmi is massaging his feet. Even Lakshmi ji is massaging the feet of Lord Vishnu. But in Vrindavan, some people are equal to Krishna. Some are higher than Krishna. Yashoda binds Krishna. बहुत नाटक करते बांध देंगे तुझे. Krishna massages the feet of Radharani. भाई शांत हो जा, खुश हो जा. Why are you so angry with me? I'm very angry with you. अरे, that's Vrindavan. Where Krishna dances to the tune of his devotees. In Vaikuntha, everyone dances to the tune of the Lord. But here, Krishna dances to the tune of everyone. They control him by their love. Iti drik swalila virananda kunde swaghosham. He is advertising by this Damodar Leela. He is advertising nimajjantam, drowning the the citizens of Gokul of ecstasy. Nimajjantam akhyapayantam. And he is telling everyone. Tadiyesh bhaktair jitatvam. I am conquered by the love of my devotees. That is Madhurya Dham. That is the ultimate Vaikuntha. And that is what Chaitanya has come to give. Think how magnanimous he is. None of us deserve. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishnaya Chaitanya Namne Gauratvisha. He has come in the mode of Radharani to relish and to distribute like a madman. Without caring. Patra na dekhe sthana. Jai jahan paye kare premadam. Without seeing whether qualified jagah tu bhi aaja andar aaja. Aaj main dene ke mood mein. One day I was walking by a big bar and restaurant. This was 11:30 at night. You know, I was passing by after a late night program. And one man with a six-piece suit came out, fully drunk, walking like an elephant. And suddenly one beggar came, said, "Kuch to dona bakshish." And he looked at him. He's in a very magnanimous mood. He took out a water bottle. Ye le, tu bhi kya yaad karega? He is intoxicated. He wants to share the same intoxication. This is a perverted reflection. Lord Chaitanya is intoxicated with love of God. The highest love. Samarpayitu unnata ujjala subhakti shriyam. The greatest opulence. Subhakti shriyam. But he is distributing. He is relishing, intoxicated, Panchatattva, fully dancing, madonnat. And then they are telling, chal, hum log to pee liye, tu bhi pee, maza ka. Without seeing any qualification. All right, I think we'll conclude here. No, it is 9:16. We have to end at 9. So four more minutes of ecstatic bhajan and kirtan. Next time I'll try to stop a little early.